Hello and welcome to David Bonson's Capital Record, brought to you by National Review. And we are in the midst of the RFK hearings going on this week. Robert Kennedy Jr., who has been, of course, nominated by President Trump to be the Health and Human Services Cabinet Secretary. Why in the world am I talking about this on Capital Record, a podcast that exists to defend free enterprise and capital markets? Because I want to bring something up that I think directly touches the economic question. That when we are talking about so many of the things that surround the Robert Kennedy controversy and the Robert Kennedy enthusiasm, there is an inevitable connection to an issue that has long been on my mind as a matter of economics. Why is it that, and I speak right now as a Reaganite traditional conservative, as a kind of longstanding member of the right, why is it that there is strong, emotional, in some cases, emphatic support for a lifetime Democrat, a literal Kennedy Democrat, who has been a sort of trial lawyer, a kind of activist taking on various, environmental causes as a attorney, who has been an outspoken um, climate environmentalist, who has been a radical pro-choicer, who has taken the opposite side of the right on so many issues and is right now become a darling of many on the right. How does that happen? I am not here on Capitol Record to critique the things I don't like about Robert Kennedy, for those things are many. I'm not here to make an argument that many others are making in other forums about his, the decision to nominate him and what I think that it means, whether it were good, bad, or ugly. It's somewhat immaterial. I'm here to talk about the fact that he's popular for a particular reason, and that reason is attached to an economic fallacy that we need to do better in. I do recognize, by the way, that Robert Kennedy was a loud proponent of something that I believe he was on the right side of during the COVID moment, which was opposition to the vaccine mandates. I, of course, did a full Capitol Record podcast and did a debate with Anthony Scaramucci, wherein in the actual debate, he ended up saying that he had changed his view on the subject, and later on became much more public in saying that the mandates were doing more harm than good. Regardless of what somebody felt about their own personal decisions to take the mRNA vaccines, one from Pfizer, one that had been from Moderna, or not, the decision of the government to take people's jobs from them if they didn't do it, the decision of so many municipalities to not allow people to freely move around in the society. I believe those things, even as myself being someone who doesn't have an anti-vax bone in his body, I think it undermined public trust. I think the fact that they didn't consider natural immunity was anti-science, and I think that the overall statism of it was horrific. And Kennedy was right on that issue. But I am here to say that when I hear people talk about the people on the right that are big pro RFK people, when I hear Heritage Foundation taking out millions of dollars of ads to support Robert Kennedy, when I hear someone like Charlie Kirk and his younger audience, Turning Point, saying, you better get behind Robert Kennedy as part of the Trump agenda. And a lot of organizations, causes, and people that would have traditionally been associated with the right that are now not just backing, but emphatically backing someone who's pretty much anti-right on most issues. And you scratch your head going, what is the reason that they've decided he's one of them? I don't think it's merely COVID vaccine mandates. Heck, that would make people like me, and they sure as heck don't like me. He's not a doctor. He's not a scientist. He's being nominated to run the largest federal government agency that has oversight of FDA, CDC. Why is Robert Kennedy so liked by people that normally would not like him? And the reason is, in my mind, a matter of economic fallacy. It is because Robert Kennedy will come out and say big, bold things against big pharma. He will say big, bold things against the food and beverage industry, the fast food industry, corporate America, as they go about the business of drugging and feeding with bad food the American population to line their pockets with profits and so forth and so on. And so you go, well, David, are you about to give us a big pro-pharma apologetic? Actually, I'd be happy to do that sometime. I'd be happy to get into where I think the net of what pharma has done in various life-saving and pain-reducing treatments, that there just isn't even any question about the net benefit to society, the amount of loved ones we all have who have benefited from some of these advancements in science. When we say we care about the human person and the cause of human flourishing, to me, the overall aggregate weight of evidence, it's not even contestable. But even that's not the point I want to make right now. I want to make the point that Robert Kennedy is able to be popular, people, because he does something, and the people who are like him doing it are doing something that is a complete and total economic fallacy. And it is hiding behind a generality for a narrative, as opposed to doing the work of specific allegation and discernment. This is a Marxian trick that the proletariat and the capitalist, that the entrepreneur, big business, that there is this divide between a nebulous group who has an oppressed role and a nebulous group who has an oppressive role. It is a Marxian sleight of hand. This is not to say all actors in the pharmaceutical industry are good. It's not to say they're all bad. And if you were talking to Robert Kennedy, I doubt he would say every single executive at a pharma company is bad or every product they've ever done is bad. I'm sure there's some people, by the way, who like to hear him say it. That's how anti-intellectual this thing has become. But what it is a ambiguity that is itself the argument. If you invited specificity, do you believe Keytruda from Merck is a bad product? Do you believe it's cancer-saving, cancer-reducing, cancer-fighting efficacy that makes up 43% of the revenue of Merck? We, by the way, own Merck at my investment firm. Do we believe that Keytruda is a net negative? Or when you say big pharma, are you referring to a specific company but not 10 other ones? Are you referring to 10 companies but there's only one good one? Is one product good, another product bad? What is it we're getting at? If what you mean is pharma has certain cozy arrangements with big government, then is your critique of big government? Because let's have that conversation. Let's unpack cronyism. But if you do mean that, do you mean that a big company, let's say Merck or Pfizer, has a deal and other pharma companies don't? So a whole bunch of big pharma is victimized by other pharmaceutical companies? Or are all pharmaceutical companies together benefiting from some bad pact? What do we mean? Is pharma good or bad? Is the relationship with government good or bad? Is it good for some, bad for others? These details matter. And using terms like big pharma allows someone to violate the 9th commandment over and over again. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. It allows people to lie and sound righteous doing it. And I'm sick of it. It is a stupid way to make an argument in the public square. If big business, if big snack, if big fast food is doing something wrong, if you want to say, I think McDonald's is wrong because French fries are unhealthy, do you want to go make the argument that human beings deciding to eat French fries is a problem? Or do you want to say that they're lying about the ingredients? Or do you want to say that they're telling the truth about the ingredients, but those ingredients are still bad? And government should put a bigger warning label on? What is it we're getting at? Just simply calling something big pharma, therefore you know it's bad, like saying just Goldman Sachs was bad in 2008. It's a substitute for an argument. It's not an argument. And that's what is the true driving force of Robert Kennedy's popularity, that he seems like he's taken on bad actors, but there's no specificity as to what people mean. So if you have a problem with certain particular patent laws, let's discuss it and let's have an actual argument about intellectual capital and whether or not we believe that there should be intellectual property protections or not, what they should look like, and who's really benefiting. Because then when you say big pharma is unfair because of IP laws, but IP laws hurt a bunch of big pharma. They keep competitors. So they help some, hurt some. My point being, you're not making a coherent argument until you attach specificity. And Robert Kennedy has no interest in attaching specificity to this. He'll say one day he's pro some vaccines against others. Other days he wants to throw all vaccines out. Which are the ones that are lies? Which are the ones not working? Which are the ones that there's some corruption at play? If there's problems in our healthcare system, which I think there are, but see, the right has been for years saying, not only do we think there's problems with the healthcare system, here's the specific things we think are wrong. And they always involve excessive government regulation, not inadequate government regulation. Too much government intrusion, not the desire for more government intrusion. So rather than have to make a specific argument with a specific solution, we've hid behind a class warfare argument. That undermines the cause of human flourishing. It undermines a free society, and it isn't making anybody any more virtuous. And if we were looking for more virtue out of this, we wouldn't be picking Robert Kennedy to be the lead. So forget my particular opposition to him as the candidate. Understand where his popularity is coming from. Don't worry about why I don't like him. The fact that I still happen to be pro-life and still don't believe in all of his nanny state solutions around environment and forget that traditional Reagan stuff. Decide you think all of it is thrown out the window. I don't know when it changed. I don't know when you changed. I don't know when this happened. But that's not even my point. My point is that the argument that people like out of him is not an argument at all. It is hiding in an ambiguity, and we need to do better than what the Marxian approach of class warfare is. So whatever's going to happen with his candidacy is going to happen, but this is symptomatic of a bigger problem. It's a problem I want to tackle head on because I care about the human person, I care about the cause of human flourishing, and health and human services are economic issues. Thanks for listening to David Bonson's Capital Record.